Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Benares, there was a king with a beautiful pleasure garden. This garden was cared for by a dedicated gardener. Occasionally, animals from the nearby forest would wander into the garden, much to the gardener's frustration. He reported this problem to the king, who instructed him, "If you ever see a strange animal, inform me immediately." One day, the gardener spotted an unusual deer at the far end of the garden. The deer was swift, vanishing like the wind as soon as it noticed the gardener. This deer belonged to a rare, timid breed known as wind deer. They were so easily frightened that they would flee at the mere sight of a human. The gardener hurried to the king and told him about the wind deer. Intrigued, the king asked if the gardener could capture this rare creature. The gardener confidently replied, "My lord, if you provide me with some bees' honey, I could even lure him into the palace." The king, eager to see the wind deer up close, ordered as much honey as the gardener needed. The wind deer had a fondness for the flowers and fruits in the king's garden. The gardener began to appear in the garden more often, slowly letting the deer see him from a distance, so it would grow less afraid. Then, he started smearing honey on the grass where the deer usually fed. The deer, drawn by the sweet scent, began eating the honey-covered grass, and soon developed a craving for this honey grass. Day after day, the wind deer returned to the garden, seeking the honey grass, and eventually refusing to eat anything else. As the days passed, the gardener inched closer and closer to the deer. Initially, the wind deer would still run away, but over time, it lost its fear and began to trust the gardener, even accepting honey grass directly from his hand. Meanwhile, the gardener set up rows of curtains, creating a pathway from the garden to the palace. These curtains were designed to shield the wind deer from seeing any people who might startle it. Once everything was ready, the gardener brought a bag of grass and a container of honey to the garden. As usual, he hand-fed the deer, gradually leading it into the curtained pathway. Step by step, he guided the deer until it unknowingly followed him into the palace. As soon as they were inside, the palace guards quickly shut the doors, trapping the wind deer. Surrounded by unfamiliar people, the deer panicked, frantically searching for an escape. The king, hearing the commotion, came down to see the terrified wind deer. He was amazed and said, "What a sight! A wind deer, an animal so shy that it would avoid any place where it has even seen a human for 7 days, and often for its entire life, has been lured right into the palace." This shows how even the wildest of creatures can be enslaved by a craving for something sweet. My friends, we are often reminded not to be too attached to our homes, or to a small circle of friends, for all things change. But even more dangerous is the craving for taste, or any other fleeting pleasure. Look at how this beautiful, shy animal was trapped simply because it could not resist the taste of honey grass. Moved by compassion, the king ordered that the wind deer be released back into the forest. The deer never returned to the royal garden, nor did it ever crave the taste of honey grass again. Moral: it is better to eat to live than to live to eat.